Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. Everton 1, Manchester United 0. We're getting used to reading out these kind of scorelines on the fan forums, and to be honest, I'm glad I'm on the forum tonight and I'm not the ground. I honestly, Goodison Park right now would not be where I would want to be. So shout out to Adam for actually going there, and all the other away fans that travel to go and watch players put in a performance that shows zero respect to the fans, in my opinion, and shows such a lack of effort. Kev, we've been here time and time again recently. Looking at that performance as a whole, just get us started on what your initial feelings were actually watching that game and seeing how far this Manchester United team has fallen. And you can bring the coaching into it, but players as a whole, the effort shown. I think it was Everton ran 10k more than Manchester United today. I mean, what are your initial thoughts on that?
To be honest, when I seen the team sheet, I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I kind of agreed with the team. I think it tells you everything where Manchester United are at the minute, that we've got Matic and Fred in midfield. I think the commentator at one stage said that Manchester United were missing McTominay. Again, tells you everything you need to know about where Manchester United are as a club. Now, as a performance, it's shambolic. It's totally embarrassing. You've got a captain there that I don't think is even fit enough to play Sunday League football. That's doing a disjustice to Sunday League footballers who turn up, over the limit of drink and stuff, that turn up on a Sunday and put in a shift out on a local park. He's supposed to set the tone. He's supposed to be the leader for Manchester United. In the first few minutes, just plays a ball straight out of play, and I'm looking, thinking, must be somebody injured. And I'm looking, no, it's just Harry Maguire. That's what he does. I'm not putting it all down to Harry Maguire. There's so many issues and problems at Manchester United. It's actually worrying me, because I'm at the point where I thought we'd sunk as low as we could get. But prepare yourself, strap yourself in, because I honestly think things are going to get a lot worse. And we played an Everton team today that on paper shouldn't be beating Manchester United. But as usual, Manchester United, a team of individuals relying and waiting on moments of individual brilliance, didn't happen today, and we were beaten by a team that are fighting for their lives, and Manchester United couldn't cope with it on every single level. That midfield, it was just overrun. It was overrun. And when you turn in to bring Juan Mata on, I like Juan Mata. I thought he held the ball up well and that when he come on. Come on, man. This is, honestly, Eric Ten Hag, I wouldn't be surprised if Man United are trying to ring him now and he's just looking at his phone and going, reject, because he must even be looking now and thinking, gee, this is a monumental rebuild. There's so many players, as Jordan always says, that have checked out, and that today was evident. It was clearly evident. I'm honestly, I was going to start with saying I don't know what to say, but it wouldn't obviously be great viewing, would it, on the United stand? So I'm fuming. If I don't try and smile and take some positivity from you, I'll just lose the plot.
The thing is, as well, though, is like when I was watching the game today, first of all, when I saw the starting 11 and the bench, I thought, wow, that is one of the most average teams I've seen us kind of put out there in terms of squad wise in a long time. And I was looking at it, I was thinking, this team really has got a lot of mediocre players in there that are obviously overpaid and aren't good enough. And then you look at the players playing football, and obviously I would say basically every player today. I mean, you can't really involve De Gea because he's not an outfield player. He can't exactly get involved in the outfield play. Showed disrespect to the shirt. I thought the attitude, none of them looked like recognisable Manchester United players, the way that they played the game. And to me, I felt like there's such a monumental rebuild to do in the summer. It was just that game right there was living proof that if you could literally get rid of a whole squad and get a new one in, I would do that right now, because that is how frustrated I am with these players. I mean, Holly, 3 wins this Everton team in 23 games. We saw how they played against Burnley. I looked at their team and I thought, I think like Jordan said earlier, a midfield that's finally probably worse than ours. Yet somehow we made Everton look like a great team, a team that were fighting as a team despite not having all the qualities there. They showed leadership, they showed passion, they showed that they wanted to win that game, and they showed they had a game plan. And I thought Manchester United just has turned to this team where you can play them and get a result no matter what, because no one fears us anymore. And I mean, you look at that team now, where do we even start with that? where do you even start unpacking that team for summer? Does it start with a leadership? Does it start with just not enough quality players on the pitch? Where does it start for you?
That I seen a tweet before the game, and it was whoever shows up with a better attitude to this game wins. And I think that's what happened. I think Everton showed up with a better attitude. They wanted to win more, even for the 50-50 battles. We just stood back. Like, there's not a single player today that can hold his head up high and say that he battled for the team, because they didn't. They really didn't. Like, Everton, like you said, Beth, we made Everton's midfield we made Iwobi look like prime Iniesta. Like, he was controlling the game. Like, Matic probably got the most of the ball, and a mistake from Matic and whoever passed him the ball led to their goal. But Matic he had the most of our ball, I think, till now, and he came off at 65 minutes, 70 minutes. Mata had the most of the ball. None of them wanted it. The first 5 or 6 minutes was them just like as if the ball was going to go off as a bomb or something. Nobody wanted the ball. It was just every single week I watch this team and think, surely next week's got to be better than this. They can't get any worse than this. And they do, week in, week out. It's such a roller coaster supporting Man United at the minute. Like, we had the positivity of Ten Hag during the week being confirmed more or less as the manager. And then this week, they just rain on our parade again. I just can't even, I don't know where to even, like you said, Kev, it's hard to come up with the words. It really is, especially when you're so fuming about it. Like, 1 minute you're fed up. I'm actually fuming today. I just think that they were just useless. They really are. Not one of them has an excuse, and they should be held out to rights because of it. They're so bad. All of them are so bad.
Yeah, they're a waste of skin at the moment. It's embarrassing, and people need to start pointing fingers at each other in that dressing room and actually saying it like it is. If I was Ten Hag, I'd be calling the club saying, "Yeah, I've accepted the job, but I'm looking for another 50k a week to take this shit show on." We need to have a look at the cooling off period in Bruno's contract. He played like the way he played today. He's somebody that should be stepping up and leading this team, regardless of having the armband or not. Doesn't look like he deserves a new contract. Ronaldo's checked out, playing like, he's too good to be in this situation, which, yeah, what he's done in his career, he is. But this is where, the men amongst the boys should stand up and help this team deliver. We are literally at rock bottom. This isn't just Ollie's period coming to fruition. What's the word? Fruition? I can't know. That's the hammer. Like this is the whole post-Fergie era coming to a point now. We are at the end game. This summer, we need to have almost like a car boot, like everything must go kind of sale, and clear this shit out of this club and start again. A new manager coming in with a new philosophy, new signings, needs to be completely backed. There's a handful of players that you look at and go, he's worth another shot. But where we're at now, it's just getting worse and worse. I said after the Leicester game, I've never seen a team that's in desperate need for the end of the season so badly. I keep talking about players checking out. These players, they're not just checking out. They're already on the beach. They've given up. They're all thinking about their next moves. It's like players that are coming towards the end of their contracts are almost playing like, well, I don't want to get injured. I know my next move. Let's just coast. Let's just coasting through games. The fact that people are tweeting saying that we're missing mediocre players like a Scott McTominay, you're right. That says exactly what we are and where we are as a team and as a squad. I posted in the group. I said, we've actually found a team with a worse midfield than ours. But that's on namesake. On actual desire and passion, they outplayed us. They outplayed us. Like, we're Manchester United. And the longer this goes on, the less and less that means. Because these teams are coming going, do you know what? We can go and get 3 points. Lampard would have been in that changing room before and gone, as bad as we've been, this team is worse. There's 3 points out there for us. And that's exactly what they did. They went out there and they got the 3 points. It literally can't go on. The sooner the season ends, the better, because we as fans can't keep coming on here and having to break down this crap. We can't keep waking up at silly hours across the world and watching this crap. These players have paid a lot of money to represent us, and they're clearly not doing it. So the sooner they stop wearing our shirt, the better.
Well, for me personally, just my personal opinion, I actually don't rate Lampard as a manager, really, from what I've seen of him. But today I thought he outclassed for the team. It's not very hard at the moment because you've got Manchester United players that aren't willing to put the work in. But does the blame fall on Rangnick today? Does any of the blame fall on Rangnick?
I was asking myself this question at half time. There are elements of, yes, he could be embedding youth players in and giving people an opportunity. There's 2 goalkeepers on the bench, Malark. That thing needs to be knocked on the head. So there are elements of it. However, he's come in to an absolute shit sandwich that he's just trying to guide us to the end of the season. Like he's clearly not going to be strong enough to be our manager. We can see that. We can see where we're at. We know what the problems are, and he's openly said what the problems are. So all he can do is make the best of a bad situation. But ultimately, those players going onto that pitch, regardless of what 11 he picks, should be beating Everton in the form that they're in. So yes, we can throw some shade at Rangnick, but the problem's bigger than this. It's easy to just keep blaming the managers. But these same managers, like Roy Keane said, have continually thrown managers under the bus. Started way back with Mourinho, when the club backed Pogba over the Mourinho thing, didn't back him, was spending more money. Then Ollie comes in and he gets given 80 million. He spends on Harry Maguire when we should have signed Koulibaly the season before. This is all the problems that have happened over the last 6 or 7 years coming to a point, and we're now finally at the end game.
I completely agree, Kev. People have been calling out for the youth players. I mean, the likes of Garnacho and players that are really coming up through the under-23s and seem to be progressing really well. And they seem like players that actually are playing for the shirt and really hungry to progress onto the first team. And really, really talented group of players we've got. For me now, looking at the rest of the season, I agree with everything you guys have said. I think it's only going to get worse. I think the players, I mean, they're not playing for the new manager, clearly, because they came out today and put no effort in. I mean, they'd be thinking probably the new manager is watching today, yet none of them seemed to care. So you're looking at the fact we've got nothing to play for, like this team likes to tell us all the time in interviews on international duty. Would you be tempted to just, your attitude stinks, get on the bench and start actually giving some of these youth players a chance in the last few games of the season?
I was probably caught on the hop a few weeks ago following another disastrous performance where I actually said, the stage that I'm at now, I was like, just throw the kids in. I'm really not bothered. What is the worst that could happen? I'd rather see players out there that want to play for the shirt, young players that are still trying to find their way into, that want to represent Manchester United. There's so many of them players today that you look at, and as Jordan rightly says, they might as well today be running around with sombreros on, inflatable unicorns under their arms. They've checked out and they're looking for summer moves, holidays, whatever. But yeah, what is the worst that could happen if Rangnick does that? But you have to be prepared. It's a double-edged sword because you're going to get people, if the run of results continue and we're getting beat and he's playing sort of 8 or 9 of the kids, you're going to get people moaning at that. So he can't really win. The job Rangnick has done, he hasn't brought any players in. He has come in to try and steady the ship. I don't understand what else he can do. He's picking a team and it's such a difficult job. But barring probably Tellez today, and maybe De Gea, I've just never, ever felt so disconnected from a group of Manchester United players. I cannot remember the last time that Man United have even won a game and you've seen the players go over to the away end or salute the home fans and you've got that bond. This has been going on for seasons. We've had fans arguing with the likes of Pogba at the end of last season. This is not what Manchester United's about. It's totally crazy. And I really don't. A lot of players, I don't think they realise just what it is to play for Manchester United. I know that sounds like a really, really easy thing to say, but the disconnect from these modern day footballers, and we'll get all the usual bollocks later on. Yeah. Not the result we wanted, we move, and it's honestly it would drive you crazy. Well,
the rot has fully set in, hasn't it? And it just seems like even the so-called leaders of the team are now sort of not putting in their 8s and 9s out of 10 performances because they're like, well, why should I bother? Because him over there isn't, or that person over there isn't. The rot has fully set in. And the job of this next manager is not only to replace the deadwood in the squad. It's also to try and salvage the players that do have the potential to play for this team. Because at the moment, you're right. I look out there, De Gea, yes. I thought Telles was lively to a degree. Matic shows that, you know, the right CDM in that position can have an influence on the game. He was good for 35, 40 minutes, but we know his legs can't handle it. But other than that, who else can hold their head up and say, do you know what, I give 110% today?
Well, that's the problem we've got, isn't it? Sorry, Holly. The problem we've got is that the players that are playing well, such as, I mean, Mata, I think did okay when he came on, Matic, and them kind of players that have got a lot of experience, they should be nowhere near this Manchester United team right now. And that's the state that this club is in. And it's just like, when you look at that team, I just feel like absolutely zero leadership whatsoever across the whole pitch. I think you can really see the disconnect on the field. I mean, has everyone seen what Alphonso Davies said about I don't understand what conversations Harry Maguire is going to be having with Cristiano Ronaldo. Imagine being Cristiano Ronaldo at that point in your career, and Maguire is your captain, who is arguably one of the worst players at the club at the moment. I mean, Holly, that is something. I think that's the first thing that's got to change in the summer. I mean, people might have different opinions on this, but personally for me, I think having a captain there who hasn't won anything, is on a very, very poor form, and is potentially one of the worst players at the club at the moment, to be the captain, I think that has a massive, massive impact on the whole team when it comes to mentality and work ethic on the pitch.
Yeah, it's like when you're playing on the pitch, working off the ball is just as important as it is working on the ball. So with terms of like how a club is set up, clubs behind the scenes are more important than what comes out on the pitch and stuff. Like, there's so many people behind this club that have to work every day to try and get this to where it needs to be. And the least the players need to do is go out and do what they're supposed to do and perform, but they don't do that. So that will upset the whole fundamentals of the club and how everything works together. So if you have 5 or 6 players in a team that's not happy with the captain, it upsets the whole run-in and how everything works. So unless like we do something like maybe what City do and they vote for a captain every season, and it can change like that. It doesn't have to be set in stone. Like, especially when things happen, like in the middle of the summer a few seasons ago, when the whole Greece thing happened with Harry Maguire, that's when it should have been taken off him for his sake and for the team's sake. He should not have been captain after that season, and it's just gone downhill from there. He was given the captaincy way too fast for me. He shouldn't have been given it as quick as he was. We should wait and just hold on to these decisions. But again, as usual, Man United make most important decisions with the least amount of effort put into why they do it.
Yeah, just on that Davis point. Sorry, Kev. Just on that Davis point, you don't have to be Ronaldo to disagree with Maguire being captain. Any of those players can look at him and be like, "Hang about, how can you tell me what to do?" Me, if Harry Maguire tried to tell me what to do, I'd tell him to shut up. Like, no one's got any respect for him. So you're right. When Ronaldo came back into the club, that was an opportunity then to say, look, he's one of our greatest ever players. The armband needs to move on. Greece, you're right. That was another opportunity. But with the club is spineless. It cannot make the right decisions. And for the first time in God knows how long, it looks like we're going to make a right decision by bringing the right manager in. We have got to back him now. And the first thing that manager has to do is be strong enough to strip the captaincy off Harry Maguire.
Do you think he'll do it?
Yes.
What
I
hope
so.
100%.
Yeah.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
It's like it's one of those things where I actually can't imagine it happening, because obviously I've never known a club that's had so many different reasons to take the captaincy off someone and still chose to stick with it. But I think you'll see a big impact with that.
But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't even have to be, I'm taking it off you because you're not good enough. It just has to be, I don't think you are the right person to lead this club at the present moment in time. That's all it has to be. It's like nothing against you. Obviously, he should maybe tell him that he's rubbish as well at the minute. But you don't have to insult him as you're doing it. Just say, look, I want this team to perform as good as they can, and I don't think you're the right person to lead them to do it. I don't think you have a big enough personality to tell these players, and you don't have the respect for them, from them either.
The other angle is, look, we feel it's affected your form. We want to take the pressure off of you. Focus on your own game. And we're going to take advantage of it. There's plenty of ways to do it. But ultimately, someone's got to have the kahunas to have that conversation with him. I'll have it with him. I don't mind. I'll sit down and I'll tell him. But somebody has got to tell him.
For me,
come on here one week.
I think you can see it though. Like when the deflection for the goal happened today. I mean, he's one of them things. It happens, but when the camera just stayed on his face, and I was just like, you can just see the. I mean, you're gonna be questioning every next move he's making. I don't think it's any good for his play as a centre back in a Manchester United team. Like, I think having the captaincy, not many people can handle that, because you've got to have your own game perfected. You've got to be the top of your own game, in my personal opinion, to take on that role and be able to and give that advice and lead a group of players, a group of players that have got some big egos in there. Like, let's be honest with some of the players that we've got, and it's like you've got to have your own game nailed down first before you take on that responsibility. And if I was Ten Hag in the summer, I'd say, Harry, just work on your game and get to that point where you are one of the best centre backs at the club, which is why we bought you, and that's why we're going to be moving you on as captain.
Yeah, as a leader, you're the player that on and off the pitch, other players confide in you. Somebody's got a problem with somebody else in the team, or an issue with the manager, or whatever it is, family problems or whatever's going on. Like, your captain should be the person that you go to and you pull to one side and you have that conversation with. Who's pulling Harry to one side and confiding him in and asking him for advice? Like, it ain't happening. So it's wrong from the top. So that is the first change any manager's got to make.
And the club are part of the problem. It was only a couple of weeks ago that they put out something on social media where they were saying, stand by your captain.
Stand by your captain.
Right?
Oh.
Stand by your captain. Now,
Yeah.
I read into that.
Reasons why.
I look at that and I go, why should I? I don't mind if he's going through a bit of a rough spell. He's been going through a rough spell since he joined Manchester United. And I look at that, and what else is going to happen at this club? Players who aren't performing are going to be rewarded with mega contracts. Why? Not performance related, just purely because they're an asset to Manchester United, and they do not want to lose players for free. You can't tell me that Marcus Rashford on current form deserves a new contract, the same that probably Luke Shaw. Tellez is starting to keep Luke Shaw out the team. Again, it tells you everything you need to know. And yet Manchester United will continue to offer out these contracts. What drives these players on then? When they've met, they're on the likes of Martial out on loan on mega money. What's he on? More than Mo Salah at Liverpool. I know who I prefer to have in my team.
I think it shows as well, the fact that Tellers is keeping Shaw out just shows how inconsistent Shaw is, because Shaw should be starting every week for Manchester United if he actually played at the level that he's capable of. But unfortunately, we don't get that level, which is why Tellers, who I like him as a left back, and I think he's got a lot of qualities. I think he needs a little bit more time, consistency in the team to get to that level, and I do think we can get a lot more out of him. But when you look at them both, Shaw should be playing as if he played the way he has the potential to do, which is like what we saw last season every week. He should be nailing down that left back spot. But this is the thing with these players and mentalities and mindsets. It's so inconsistent. The players' forms are inconsistent. The results are inconsistent. The only thing that is consistent is that we're consistently bad. And that is a problem. But when you talk about, people call it overrated British players, Aaron Wan-Bissaka came back into the team today after a long stint out of the team. I think we saw, again, what his qualities are is a right back, where his strengths are with defensive tackling. Obviously, is his main attribute, and that is what he's there for. But I mean, pass accuracy of 58% and lost the ball 26 times today. Holly, is that enough for a right back at Manchester United? And
no,
I mean, it's just coming back into the team again and not putting in the performance. I mean, 58% pass accuracy.
That's actually unforgivable, that much, and losing the ball as much as he did as well. But they're all as equally as bad. They really are. Like, there's not even that today doesn't stand out to me as a bad performance, and there's just Wan-Bissaka, because they're all so bad. They really were. There's not one player today who did anything well in that team whatsoever. Like, at one point, it was like, can this get any worse? I was falling asleep watching it. I was just like, this is just. Am I going to wake up from this horrible nightmare of these lot running around wearing this shirt? Because after this performance today, you don't want to say too much, obviously, because we're all just high in emotion and angry and stuff. But they are disgusting. They really are disgraceful, them players, how they get. And it says it all when players like Matic and Mata come on. Mata was probably one of the better players today that came on for us. And he's like, Mata's finished. And Matic is so slow It's like unbearable. But they really were the better on the better side of the team. I just can't even sum up into words how bad they were today and how ashamed of themselves they really should be.
Is this a problem, Jordan, as well? Looking to the summer. I mean, we've bought Maguire, which for 80 million, which for me, he is a Leicester level centre back, and he probably should still be there. We bought Wan-Bissaka for 50 mil. For me, a Crystal Palace level right back, probably should still be there. Daniel James, we bought. I mean, it wasn't much money, but look at him at Leeds. I mean, he's not. I think he's Championship level. I honestly do. Like, we are not scouting the right players, and we're jumping the gun too quickly. I think on certain British players after they have a spell of good form, rather than really doing our research abroad and trusting the manager on their picks. I mean, I don't know what went on behind closed doors with the picks, but that's something that's going to be really important because recruitment is massive if we are going to change this team around this summer, surely.
Yeah, I think it's something Mark always says about, do our scouts not have passports? When was the last time we've gone out, into Europe and signed someone? We just seem to just sign players in the Premier League. 50 million for Wan-Bissaka, for me, is as much of a daylight robbery as 50 million for Fred.
I knew that was coming.
The game has moved on. Like,
I actually think it's more of a daylight robbery. I actually think that's how.
I don't know. I toss and turn at night thinking about it. I don't know. I don't know. I change day from day. At the moment, Wan-Bissaka. The game has moved on. You need more from your fullbacks, and and I'm not even just looking at Manchester City's and Liverpool's fullbacks. There's other fullbacks across the league that are just so much better and offer so much more than what ours do. He's got to go. For me, he's on the list of players that I've seen enough, and he needs to go. I think, he's in the same bracket as Maguire. He was Ollie signing, and again, the manager has to come in and just say, look, if he's not right, then he's not right. We got to get what we can for him while we can get some money. And that's one of the things that we seem to fail at, is selling players while they still hold a little bit of value. We'll still get some money for a Wan-Bissaka, for a Harry Maguire and whatnot, and then we can go and spend that money in Europe and bring somebody in that can actually offer a bit more to this team. But again, he comes in and just like we've got to a point where if somebody doesn't have a bad game, we just go, oh well, they haven't had a bad game. Well, no, we need them to play well, assist the team. Like, we can't accept mediocrity that they just didn't cost us a goal. But what have they then created? And it's absolutely draining that time and time again. Big up Brighton beating Arsenal. That we're in this situation where we've got to come on and have these conversations. And that's the thing. When we're not online, it's all week that people are just absolutely bombarding us with banter. But what game can we go into on a weekend and be confident that we're going to win? I looked at Everton. I was like, you know what? We've got to beat these. These are dreadful. I watched them in the week. I was like, they're getting slapped 3-1. Muggins over here now is getting absolute pelters left, right, and centre for backing my team.
Well,
it feels like that every week now, though, doesn't it? I always feel really positive going into a game, and then you see what happens in the game, and you're just like, but that's the killer for me, is that I always do feel really positive, and then like last week I put out a tweet saying I'm like, this is probably the best team we could put out today, bar maybe McTominay. Feeling really positive. Sancho's going to have a great game. It absolutely slapped me in the face, and it has again this week as well.
I really think I have been so positive, as we all know, about but over the last couple of weeks, genuinely, I went into this game today and I was like, I think we're going to get beat, and that's not like me whatsoever. Like,
Beth, can we talk about your positivity over the years?
I've got control of the stream, so I can actually kick you out. So let's just keep it down, yeah.
Shame you didn't want to kick Ollie out.
Shut up. No, but the thing is, I'm not going to get into this discussion, but when the time was right to get rid of Ollie, I said that the time was right to get rid of Ollie. So let's just.
He's already gone when you said kick him out.
No, right. We're not having this conversation right now, but you can go back through the live shows and you can see that. Anyway, Jordan, I'll
Yeah.
move on to Kev. Actually, I don't want to speak to you. We've got Ronaldo. Presence in the box this week. We missed that so much last week. And one of the best headers of the ball, poacher in the box. We've got, for me, wingers and fullbacks. Well, Tellers was getting some good balls into the box, to be fair, but we've got wingers that don't seem to want to cross the ball in to one of the best goal scorers, poachers in the box in the box to score these goals. And it's like, is it lack of confidence why we're turning back? Is it lack of confidence why we're making the wrong decisions? And also on that point, Marcus Rashford today, opinions.
I think the wing-back situation, I mean, going back to that, it's such a vital part of the team now because it does give you width. Now, when you've got players like Wan-Bissaka, who I think defensively is all right, but attacking-wise, if we look at the top teams and you look at the likes of Robertson, Trent, Cancelo at City, they're just levels above, and they give you width. They give you an outlet up the field. And at Manchester United, it's been the same issue for the last few years. You've got what I would call failed kind of strikers playing out on the left and right. We've had Martial, Greenwood, Rashford, and it's clear they don't want to be out there. But as Ricky would say, you know, it's kind of shoehorning them in because of the name and the stature of the player. We've had no system for years. So how can you get players into that and playing? We've got no style of football at Manchester United. The only thing we can expect now is to rock up every week and get beat or draw. There's no confidence or anything to take from that. And on Ronaldo today, I mean, pretty much anonymous, but if you want to defend him, until the end when he had the chance that he nearly scored, very rarely did Manchester United really put anything into him. And he cut a frustrated figure as he has a lot this season because he is probably looking and thinking, I've underestimated this big time. You know, I've come back here to win trophies, try and put Manchester United back on the map. And he's obviously did not expect it to be like this. He must be looking and thinking, geez, you know. And another player, I loved it when he come back. But again, at the end of the season, if he wants to go, you know, I'm glad I've been to Old Trafford. I've took my son to see him and all that. That's a great thing on a personal level for us. But Manchester United more long-term. I mean, do we really want Ronaldo for another season? And at the same time, if we do get a Harry Kane or a Haaland or someone, it's still going to be the same, isn't it? Until we get a system or something. Players like that feed off service. If Ronaldo's not getting the service, he isn't going to score. And it'll be the same I don't think it's going to happen that Haaland would come to United, but if we did, would it be any different? No, because it'd be exactly the same unless we start to get some style of play at Manchester United.
Well, that's the thing, the lack of coaching, and it's evident. It really is so evident when you watch the team, and it's like it's none of the players can work together. Like we've said multiple times, it's a team of individuals, and it's not a team. It's really not, and you can tell that by the lack of chemistry in the final third. You can tell it by the constant use of wrong decisions, and it's just. I think when you get, for example, a Ten Hag in the summer and you actually start to see him implement a style onto this team and hopefully bring in some players that can also play his style, I think we'll see the best coming out of a few more players, but that'll only be the players that have got the attitude and the work rate to...
That's what happens. That's what happens, Beth. At top teams like, say, City and Liverpool, as much as it pains me to say that, they've got a style, an identity, a way of playing football. So I remember laughing when they signed Robertson. Liverpool, I was like, Robertson, who's this? Who they bought? Just fitted into that team. And again, at Manchester United, players do not progress. Over the last 3 years, I can't name any player that has got gradually better during any of the last 3 seasons. At Liverpool and Manchester City, under the leadership of a top coach, players get better and better. And that has held us back massively at Manchester United.
I think Ronaldo would be as happy as us. Well, not as happy as us, but I think he'd be happy to leave at the end of the season anyway.
Well, Holly, Arsenal, we've just heard, getting beat again. I said I think a few of us said on previous shows that if this Manchester United team would have got their heads together, figured out a plan, and actually worked hard for the manager towards the end of the season, they could have actually potentially got top four. I think they wrote it off way before any of us did, and I think they wrote it off from themselves. That in itself now, I mean, you can only do what you can do, but you see Arsenal losing again, and we could have got top four. And is that like a really frustrating thing? These players don't deserve it, but it's so frustrating that, again, the mindset is to throw in the towel that early.
The only reason I thought that it was possible to get top four, because it wasn't technically impossible. Like, that's the thing with Arsenal dropping results and stuff like that now, is because they obviously are struggling with injuries now and stuff. And I think even Arsenal fans are a little bit like, oh, I think we're going to struggle now and stuff like that. And Tottenham are starting to play a bit more positively. But we should be taking advantage of that, and we're not. Even the players, it is very possible that, because obviously Arsenal aren't as consistent as they would hope to be eventually, and Tottenham are just Tottenham and they've been inconsistent for years, we could be the ones that just glide through, get fourth place, might not deserve it, but it will be a good start for Ten Hag next season. But we haven't done that because the players, as you said, Beth, checked out in international duty. We heard that from Pogba. We heard it from a few that just, our season's not great, but it's over, to be fair, and stuff like this, all this. But our club isn't where we want it to be, and that's why I really enjoy going on international duty and stuff like that. If you have that mentality, then of course you're not going to bring us to top four. Of course you're not, especially when, and even now, when Arsenal and Tottenham are dropping points, you're not prepared to go and make the run for it. So that's where we're failing.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many different factors. I think coaching's not good enough. I think Ralph hasn't got a strong enough personality to manage this team, unfortunately. I also think the players, God, they're a massive, massive, massive factor in this. And obviously the board above them has been setting examples for years now, and getting that interim coach was a big example of them writing off the season. Sorry, Kev, did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, and you've got a player like Luke Shaw that's coming out with comments like he enjoys playing for England more than Manchester United. I think that's absolute sacrilege. I could not believe that he's come out with something like that.
The thing is,
how can you, Manchester United pay his wages at the end of the, even if you think that, you don't actually come out and say it.
Back in the day, if someone would have come out and said that, while, for example, Roy Keane was captain, they would have got an absolute rinsing when they came back from that England camp. And they would have been, I mean, Ferguson would have dropped him out of the team for weeks. But it's like, I bet no one even said anything to Shaw after that.
Harry would have said something. Harry would have said, yeah, me too. I'm back.
Harry would have said, at least we're still getting picked, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know when we were saying we're applauding mediocrity now because we're so used to seeing bad performances? I saw a tweet before that was like, Harry Maguire, one of the main strengths of Harry Maguire is his availability. I was like, oh my God. So the fact he doesn't get injured is a strength to have him as a member of the team. This is where we're at now. But when you talk about injuries, and feel free anyone to jump in on this, Varane, best centre-back at the club by far. Are we worried about this injury record now? Because he seems to be in the team 1 week, out the team the next. And for me, the defence just looks nowhere near as good without him there. And it's just frustrating because he's the best centre-back by far.
Yeah, I think, it just made me think about the Harry Maguire thing. In school, my attendance record across like the 5 years is like 99.6%. And I remember one of the teachers saying to me, she's like, of all the children we don't want to be in all the time, you're one of them and you're always here. And it just made me think of Harry Maguire. Out of all of our centre-backs, if we could take away Eric Bailly's injury proneness and Varane, if we could pick one, it would have been Harry Maguire. But he's the one who's always fit. The Varane thing is concerning because, like I said, he's come into a league which is higher pace, much more intensity. And if his body is starting to break in season one of his contract, then that potentially could be another issue that we're going to have to address over the summer.
He's definitely injury prone, isn't he?
I think it's complete madness, right? I'm thinking about Harry Maguire here and laughing to myself. We spent 80 million on this player who supposedly his best attribute is being available. That should be the least anyway. Not heading the ball, not speed, not actually playing football. What he's paid to do, his best attribute is being available.
Yeah.
It's a sad day, isn't it?
Do you know what, guys? Like, I don't want to turn this into, the Harry Maguire. We've all got our pitchforks out for Harry Maguire, but because he is captain, he's always going to take the brunt of it. And that's people in the comments say, stop digging out Harry Maguire. There's bigger issues. There are, but the problem is he's the one the players are supposed to look to for inspiration and motivation, and he can't motivate himself. Yeah. So we are going to throw it. Harry Maguire, the world's most expensive fridge freezer, but he hasn't even got a water or ice facility on the front. It's just a basic fridge.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, he just, for me personally, like at the moment, with carrying the captaincy as well, it's just not been good enough. But he never chose that either. Like, he's got to go out there every week and do it. And I mean, in his head, he probably knows. He probably knows he's not good enough. I mean, I don't know. I mean, players do believe in themselves quite a lot recently, but it's hard. It's hard to watch. It honestly is hard to watch, and it's just so frustrating, kind of seeing the direction that the club is going in. And I've just seen that comment there, Jordan, saying it used to be no tactics, just vibes. We could have done with the vibes today. No tactics or vibes now.
Yeah. We're just 11 players on the pitch. They actually play like they don't like each other. They're literally like, you don't see them high-fiving each other, talking to each other. Like, there's literally zero chemistry amongst that team. It's mad. There's
nothing ever constructive coming from one another either. You look at the likes of Bruno, who's constantly moaning at Sancho and Tellez and stuff like that. You see that and you're like, well, why don't you tell them something constructive then? Why don't you tell them what to do instead of just berating them for every single thing they actually do? Because they all just look fed up with each other as well. There's, like you said, Jordan, there's no positivity coming from any of them. Take each other to the side when there's a throw-in or something and say, look, you've done this last time, try this. Stop just moaning at each other and throwing your hands up in the air. Like, petulant bunch of kids is what they are.
Also, I got a question, guys. What the hell has this set piece coach done since he's come in?
God, made us worse.
I think we're actually worse. Has anyone else noticed that?
Definitely worse at attacking them. I'm not going to lie.
Mental, absolutely mental. Anyway, guys, what do you see for the end of the season? Like, is it more of the same? Like, I looked at the Everton game. I was like, this is a game they're getting Will Smith slapped. Definitely 3-1 is happening. Now look at us.
I actually think it's going to be 7th place. I actually do. And God, I'm not being funny. I am not looking forward to Anfield and the Emirates. I'm really not looking forward to it. Like, we could literally get obliterated at Anfield right now. And I think we will. I genuinely think we will, because I don't see these players changing. I don't see it happening.
And that's why I think if the squad's at that point now, if you've lost it with the players and we know that they've checked out, you start bringing the likes of McNeil and that through and give them the chance. And so what? So what if we finish 9th or 10th? Does any of us want to be in the Europa League next season? Worst case scenario, the Europa Conference League? I don't want to be. I'd rather have none of that next season. And if Ten Hag is the man that takes over Manchester United, doesn't have to worry about European football. We know he's going to have a massive job of rebuilding United, but at least he gets to do it on the domestic level and build it back up from there. I don't want to be in the Europa League next season.
We've just been battered by the side of Liverpool that's about to get relegated. So imagine what the side that are running for the title are going to do to us.
Yeah, but it's happened this season, hasn't it? The likes, when we've come up against top teams, Liverpool and Man City have absolutely annihilated us this season. And the main problem is the midfield area. We've had the likes of De Bruyne, whoever rocking up. We've had so many. Everybody's midfield is better than ours. Even that today is the first time I kind of looked and went, we'll do these today. I think we're actually stronger than them in midfield. Lo and behold, it looks great on paper, but it doesn't actually work, does it?
Yeah.
It's Fred and Matic, Matic is probably the best in that role for the job at Manchester United, but we can't rely on him. We all know his legs are going to go. He's not going to last the full 90 minutes. And it's
90 minutes. Matt, if you look at Matic's first 30 minutes, he was all over the pitch. And literally 35 to 40 minutes, you just seen his gas tank just go. He was done.
Yeah.
But again, this is what I'm saying. Like I said, all the issues that we've had over the last 3-4 years of not replacing that's CDM has come to haunt us now, because we're in this position. It's mad. Like, look at Sancho's performance. We're not playing to Sancho's strengths. So why sign him? Should have invested that money in a CDM. Exactly. Beth, you know who I wanted. You know who I wanted over Sancho.
Was it Basuma?
Yeah. And it is what it is.
I rate Basuma, but I don't think he's a CDM for Manchester United. I'm not. Well, that's a discussion for another show. That's a discussion for another show.
Don't get started.
But me looking forward now, I can't see where the next win's coming from, if I'm honest. Because I'm looking at Norwich next week. I'm saying 1-1 or 0-0. I don't even. I think it's a draw. I don't see us winning it. I mean, I don't see us scoring goals.
Yeah,
no goals at all.
There's no sort of turnaround either, is there? Like, we've had games where we've won games quite well, not this season, but quite like as confidently as we could. And then we go on, we lose the next week. We've had games where we're absolutely battered 5-0 at home. We go on and we have a rubbish performance the next week. There's no sort of like, sometimes when you win a game, the most important thing to do next week is carry that on and win it again. Or like with the mentality side of things, if you lose a game like the 5-0 against Liverpool, the best thing you can do, get your heads up and win the next game. We don't do that. We don't have any sort of our mentality is so weak at the team. And there's just no sort of turnaround at the moment. There's no, us lot now, we look to next week and we don't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect this morning, and I don't know what to expect now for next week.
Yeah, it's so frustrating to watch, and it's frustrating to kind of see where this club's going. And what upsets me the most is the fact that, they might have written off the season for themselves, but fans are still paying to go and watch the game every week. Fans are still travelling across the country to go and watch the game every week, and you can't even put in a decent performance. Honestly, it's so frustrating.
Show a bit of pride.
Exactly.
More than anything.
And I know that we've had this conversation that, yes, these footballers are paid a lot of money. They go back to the fancy houses, to go back to all the stuff that they have all of this, which is why people would think it doesn't affect them as much as it should do. But from a personal perspective, I mean, pride and embarrassment.
They're so far detached. So far detached.
You can't buy that.
No.
You can't. And it's just like, how can you actually go home and speaking to your family and your friends, gosh, just got battered there at the weekend, mate. I'd be so embarrassed, actually playing like that on the pitch. I mean, if you're not going to do it for fans, do it for yourself, because there's some players there that, a lot of players are overrated and a lot of players are average, but there's some players that are performing way under their potential. And one thing I have noticed is that as a club, we bring players down as well. Like, Bruno started off really well. You've seen the fact he's dipped recently. Sancho, how well he was doing at Dortmund. Now he's on a run of bad form again. Like, everyone we bring in seems to, decline as a player rather than progress.
We got players that are playing like they know their next move already.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're playing for their future at Manchester United. They know that they're out of contract at the end of the summer. They know where they're moving on to. Their agents have lined up what's happening next. So it just needs a clear out, guys. That's it. We've come to a point, as I keep saying, this is the end game for this squad now. We kept saying about Ollie's rebuild, and we wanted somebody to come in after Ollie and pick up the reins of all the good work Ollie supposedly did and carry it on. It isn't. We're at the end of that cycle now. We need to get. Oh, I thought Jay wasn't on this show.
Sorry.
Right. We just need to get Jay.
Sorry, guys. Dog's kicking off.
He's just been watching the highlights of United.
Yeah.
Listen, more bite than our midfield. More bite. Yeah, we need 5-6 players gone, 5-6 fresh bodies, fresh mentality coming in and pull us forward into next season.
Before we kind of wrap up this show, and obviously it's been a horrible game. It was a boring game. It was horrible to watch, and it gives me no excitement going into next week again. I mean, you've got teams that we used to be better than, and I mean, fighting for serious stuff this weekend. Liverpool, Man City, that derby. It's just like, God, we've fallen so far. But looking forward, I want to ask you all this question. Erik ten Hag, I think we all think he has the potential to do something good with this Manchester United team and actually build a squad and a team that can challenge again. I think if you give him time, he's got the potential to do that. Do you think, one, he will be given time, and do you think he will be allowed to do this through the board and the people that they have behind him? Because people have always said that with Ajax, he's got the perfect setup behind him, and we know that Manchester United's setup is renowned to be horrendous. People have said that no manager will ever succeed in this setup. So do you think that Erik ten Hag will be allowed to be successful at the football club? Just a question that I'm throwing out to everyone, because each coach that comes in seems to get nowhere.
Yeah, it's really nice, kind of the positivity first off when you get a new manager and stuff like that. But then you kind of begin to deep it and realise that this is still the same club and it's still the same board, bar Ed Woodward, that has been with the recent managers as well. And like Jose Mourinho said himself, you're not backed in that club. Your hands are tied behind your back. So it is really like exciting for us fans at the beginning. Obviously, we love someone like Ten Hag, and we do enjoy Ten Hag coming in, and we will enjoy it, and hopefully it will improve the team. But then there is a sudden realization that will he get the support that he wants, and will it be consistent as well? Because we're more inclined to possibly give him the funds he wants this season, but will that be the same next season if we still need improvement? And if he does want to drop someone like Harry Maguire, will the board force him to keep picking him? You just don't know. So it does come with a little scary aspect as well, as of this is still the same club and it's still the same background as there always has been.
100%. Jordan?
Can't be arsed, Beth. Yeah, they have to, because we are at rock bottom, and ultimately their business model of being able to pull profit out of the club eventually is going to grind to a halt if the sponsors are not putting money in, and so on and so forth. And ultimately that comes with success on the pitch. There's talk of big investment in the team over the summer, which is the reason why we didn't spend any money in January, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think so. And there's talk of Ten Hag saying he's not going to take it unless certain things are agreed. That's exactly what we need. We don't want a manager who's begging for the job and being proper beggy about it and just desperate to get the job like Ollie was. We need a manager that we have to convince to take this project on. And I really feel like that's why Ten Hag's being so fussy about certain clauses in the contract. He wants to have his hands on every decision that's made. And that's totally right. You can't have these American owners, pulling strings, not even in the country, not fans of football, don't understand what's going on. You need somebody on the ground that understands what's happening and has a clear direction of where this club needs to go.
100% agree with you. Kev, do you think we'll see a change? Do you think he'll be given the tools?
I would argue, what is the point of appointing somebody like Erik ten Hag if you're not going to give him total control? We're just back to square one. It gets to the point where, you might as well give it Pochettino, give it whoever, Sean Dyche, Sam Allardyce. It would make no difference at all. If that's what United want to do, then I would expect nothing less of them. Part of me just thinks that they'll announce Pochettino, and that's it's because that is the way Manchester United have run. If it is Erik ten Hag,
not do that now.
You need to give him total control at Manchester United, the same way that Pep and Klopp at their respective clubs have been given, and he has to be given time. There's no point giving a manager now if we're all in on it, and we know that it's we're definitely hitting the reset button. It's a rebuild. You have to give him time. Too many football fans, are too quick these days. I said the other night, for a fact, if United lost the first game under Ten Hag, that Ten Hag out is going to appear somewhere, and that's the way modern day football fans are. They want everything now. It's not made it any easier to see that lot, Man City and Liverpool, their rise is basically they've gone up, and in that same time, we've kind of just dropped off the end of a cliff. And it's been shocking to watch. It's been really bad. I was on the United stand in the Louis van Gaal era. And I think this is getting a lot darker than them days. Because at least
worst,
then we had Rooney and players that you were like, you knew were fighting for the badge. This is just a team of individuals that I can't be bothered with.
Worse than Moyes, everyone? I would say yeah. I think I would say yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels worse, but you forget, don't you, how bad it felt back then. It definitely feels like rock bottom.
It does. It really does. And I mean, like you said, you could argue the players in that team, despite not having the same stature as some of our players, they actually performed better and were more effective in a team style. I mean, obviously it was a horrible period, but like, I mean, this right now, it just feels awful.
I think the Moyes era was different because we'd won the league, the year before.
So the expectations were really
we were
high.
actually champions, whereas now the expectation level since the Moyes era, it's almost like an acceptance. I think as fans that we're not actually good anymore.
Do you know what? I think it's worse because the squad is so bad. That's it. I think even under all the managers since Alex, you look and there's always X number of players you look at and go, okay, well that could work. I look at this team now, top to bottom, and there's literally 2 or 3 players I look at and go, they're Man United worthy, or they've got potential of a future with us. The squad is awful, and that's including the bench. How bad is our bench now?
It is bad.
So bad. Like
2 goalkeepers.
You look at in games under the other managers. You look and you go, "Why is he not bringing this person on? Why is there no changes? Why is there no this?" I'm looking at our bench. I'm like, do you know what? I'm with you.
Yeah.
Like no one's coming on to make a difference.
And we loaned Donny and Martial out, and them loans, you would say, haven't really been successful either. So it's all great.
Yeah.
And on that note, it is the end of the show. It's the end of the therapy stand. It's the end of the fan forum. And thank you guys, obviously, for coming on. It's really hard to kind of come on here and talk about this when you just see the same crap week after week. But hopefully, at some point, we'll have good things to talk about. And I definitely think that will at the least be next season. I think we're going to have a few more weeks of this, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. But hopefully we will see change eventually. And some advice to everyone in the comments as well is don't let Manchester United ruin your weekend. It's a 12:30 kickoff. Don't let these players ruin your weekend because they are not worth it, and it's not worth it anymore. So thank you, Kev, for coming on.
Thank you very much. I certainly am not going to let them ruin my weekend, as you rightly just said, because they'll probably be rocking up shortly at the mansions or whatever, jumping in the jacuzzi, having a ball of fun. Whereas, why should I give a shit? If they don't give a shit, then I'm not arsed either. So, have a couple of them.
Kev, you're getting the red wine out of it early tonight, yeah?
Oh, I'll be straight on it after this now. Yeah, it's the only way to deal with it, man. Only way to deal with it.
Holly, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you I'm sure we'll see you throughout the week on the shows.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Like Beth said, just enjoy your weekends now, and we'll stick together as fans and get through this, and hopefully onto some better times as well. So
exactly. And Jordan, thank you for coming on. Thank you for not giving me as much stick as usual, and enjoy your weekend if you want to.
Beth, we're in this together. It's rock bottom for all of us, so I can't dig you out. Yeah, guys, have a good weekend, and as always, a pleasure.
Honestly, what time is it? I need to get my Chinese on the pre-order. Like everyone's comments. I'm not being funny. Why am I known as like Mrs. Chinese now? Like takeaways. Honestly, it's actually so. What are people trying to say to me? But yes, it is Saturday night and it is takeaway night, so I'll be getting that ordered. But thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go and watch Adam's fan vlog. I'm sure it'll be a very interesting one, and I'm sure I'll be very happy stood outside Goodison Park. And we will see you all on the next show.